Hit the trails Tuesday for Locked On UCLA. We look at UCLA recruiting. Will they win any basketball recruiting wars? Those are coming up to a head pretty soon. And football. R.J. Jones looking to commit pretty soon. Maybe not. Who knows? As we go to Locked On UCLA today.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer, your host, D1 play-by-play broadcaster, and diehard Bruins fan, as we are locked and loaded, ready to go. Thanks for making Locked On UCLA your first listen each and every day. It's now available on YouTube. If you're watching us, it's available for free on any podcasts platform, wherever you're listening. And most importantly, now we get to see a friendly, familiar face that you've never seen, but you may have heard before, as we welcome dear friend, guest host, and guest contributor, Jake Handy, who is a D1 play-by-play broadcaster and a diehard Bruins fan himself. Jake, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me back. Still grooving off that intro. That new intro's got those horns. I was just in here grooving to it. I was like, man, didn't want that to stop.
I mean, we don't need the fun to stop. It's Hit the Trails Tuesday. We're talking about UCLA recruiting. And it's time to hit the trails, Bruin fans. Get those hands in the air. Come on, Jake. You know what time it is.
I thought we were skipping this. My bad.
We're not ever skipping it unless it's serious news. Bruin A clap, baby. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA. Fight. It's like those Zoom days when we're
going to wake up the beast.
Yeah. So we've got a beast of a puppy behind him. So if you ever see a monster crawling behind Jake, it is a puppy dog named Dirk.
He is a monster, but it's okay. He does not, he will not feast on me. Thankfully, he likes me, so it's okay.
Speaking about feasting, it's time to take a look at some people who could feast in the post in potential future seasons for UCLA. We'll start with the New York kid, Brandon Williams, who just recently came in and took a visit to UCLA. Brandon Williams, a 4-star recruit, a power forward from New York. He says he's down to 2 schools, St. John's and UCLA. Jake, what do you know about him?
Well, I know that he's really good at just narrowing down the map. He chose the farthest to pick from, and then he chose the farthest East Coast, so he really just kept the entire nation on their toes. He's really good at that. No kid, like a Mick Cronin type recruit. We talked a lot, and I know we're going to talk again about the other Williams, Devon Williams. But it seems like Mick Cronin kind of, if he gets both, probably would be a great recruiting class. But he's trying to get 2 similar players, so he's banking on at least one of them coming through. Lanky kid, size and speed and athleticism. I think he'd have to grow into his college body a little bit more. But a really good Mick Cronin level recruit. And if he has like the fire that Mick Cronin always seems to kind of find in these undervalued guys that he's so used to recruiting coming from a lower school like that, I think he could have a lot of potential to be a really good piece, especially on the defensive end for the Bruins.
Yeah, the Bruins love to get, as we were joking kind of pre-show now, those undersized, lanky forwards, with Williams looking more like a lanky guy than maybe, say, the Cody Rileys of the past. And for Brandon Williams, he's a New York kid, a 4-star recruit, as we kick things off here for Locked On UCLA. And the real kicker is, it's between him and Devon Williams, who are similar builds, similar ranks, and we'll get to more on Devon Williams coming in the second segment. But the real kicker of the question is, do we think Brandon Williams will choose to come to UCLA, coming from a New York kid who just visited, and he just easily narrowed down his top 2 schools? Maybe not easily, but he just narrowed it down to 2 schools, visited UCLA. Remember former UCLA coach Steve Lavin going to coach St. John's for a long time, got that connection back and forth. That's maybe the only St. John's UCLA connection I can think of off the top of my head, other than they're completely far, 2 completely different weather, and just different atmospheres for basketball. So
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you can go ahead.
I was saying I was wondering if UCLA opening up, and with UCLA going to be moving to the Big Ten, if that is like if going all the way to the West Coast is so much of a problem, if Williams' family, or if Williams is it's important for him for his family to come see a lot of his games, it's much easier to go to Michigan and
Rutgers,
Ohio, yeah, or
Maryland.
Rutgers, Maryland from New York than it is all the way to the West Coast, and he's going to be playing a lot of games out there. I think that gives him a good opportunity to get it. Possibly, there's a big opportunity there for the Bruins and that whole level of recruiting. So I wonder if there's something to that with him opening up a West Coast school. It's the only West Coast school left. He picked a West and an East Coast school. I think there could be something to that with the move to the Big Ten.
So you had his numbers pulled up. I'll let you pull it up right now about what specific rank he is in the power forward class and what he is in the state of New York. But this could be what we're seeing. We'll talk about with R.J. Jones in the third segment, the final segment today for Hit the Trails Tuesday. But this is where UCLA can start to put their footprints on East Coast guys or rip guys from other schools and get decommitments before signing days come up for the various sports, and have UCLA start to crawl their way across the U.S. and grab different guys in different sports with the Big Ten move, like, say, Brandon Williams, the New York kid. UCLA will soon have a conference rival member in Rutgers who is from New York, and UCLA will go to Maryland this year, a future Big Ten rival. Lots of those more Eastern travel rivals. You go all the way to the East Coast. Well, that's a little easier to come pluck a New York kid and bring him out to the West Coast.
Yeah, you're out his like actual rankings, and this is still now, so he can honestly move up a ranked player. But he's the number one ranked player in New York for his class, right? Three class, which is high praise. He's the number 19 power forward in his class in the country and the number 88 overall prospect in the country for his class. So he's a high level kid. I mean, anytime you're getting and dipping into that top 100 recruitment across the country, you're really finding some high level talent and some good opportunity to make somebody an even better talent, depending how you can develop schools. I was thinking about this as you said that too, about how they're going to Maryland. All it takes is you get one of these guys from the East Coast in that area, and it could snowball into so many more commitments from that area. You get Brandon Williams, he comes over and he's like, man, California is awesome. There's taco trucks
California
on.
love, baby.
I'm
Let's
saying there's
go.
taco trucks on every corner instead of a shawarma truck. I'm at the beach 7, 8 months out of. I never pull out my snow parka ever. Like, he goes back home and he tells all of his basketball friends that he plays AAU with. Like, oh my god, this is absolutely incredible, dude. And Brandon Williams' friends come, and then his friend's friend comes the next year. That's how you open up an area that you can kind of pick out of. And starting with New York would be a high prize for the Bruins and would be awesome for Mick Cronin to get.
Well, before we hear some words from BetOnline, what are your thoughts? Do you think he comes? This is just kind of what we're thinking. What do
Okay.
you think? Do you think he actually comes?
I hyped up all the reasons he could. I will say I think UCLA is probably not in the driver's seat. Sorry about that. In the driver's seat when it comes to him, because we are out west, and even if you do get the one game at Rutgers, and your parents can go to Rutgers, and they can go to Maryland, and maybe they'll take a little trip to Michigan and go watch him play a couple of times, or Purdue and Indiana. Sure, those aren't too far of a trip, but ultimately, mom and dad still got to watch their little baby go all to California, and you're not going to see him a lot for a couple months, a lot of the year while he's training and playing out west and this, that, the other. I think that's what his relationship. Maybe he wants to get away from mom and dad. They're overbearing. Maybe he loves mom and dad. He can't bear to be away from them. I just makes me feel, and UCLA being so far away, I would say they're in the rear view on that, and I would be much more confident in the other Williams, who's from Compton and from California, coming to UCLA over Brandon. But I mean, he left him open, which means he obviously likes Mick Cronin a little bit, and he hasn't crossed it out yet. So, one player in New York would be a big time recruit. We already seen the Bailey recruit. The Mick Cronin's got some good ones coming, so I wouldn't put it out of his realm.
Well, that's class of 2023 clashing against each other. Williams from New York, when we'll talk about Williams from Corona, California. in Devon Williams, the 4-star recruit, after we hear some words from BetOnline. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find your favorite sports and events at the #1 source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information, from live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts. They have you covered. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening today. BetOnline, where the game starts. And this is where the game starts. Good old Jacob Handy. Welcome back to reality here. So,
I mean, letting you get that read off, man, and I'm gonna want to breathe in heavy through my nose. You know this when I play video games with my friends. I'm like who's just like like Darth Vadering it up. So it's like when you're giving the read, I had to go full mute. I couldn't even get in your way, dude. I'm like, I don't even want to let this schnoz do its thing. Like, just you do you, man.
okay, now me doing me, you doing you. We're talking, we're shifting gears. Williams from the East Coast all the way to Williams on the West Coast.
Distant relatives somewhere, right? They gotta be. They gotta be.
I don't know. I don't think that's true. But the Williams, funny enough, there's one in New York, and we're talking now about the 4-star recruit, Devon Williams, who you mentioned plays for the Compton Magic, has connection to Bruin Jalen Clark. And UCLA, that Corona Centennial kid with this Devon Williams product, that's pretty much in their backyard. He's settled it between UCLA, USC. His commitment is coming up soon. Within the next week or so, it will be a decision for Devon Williams. And by the time we're ready to talk about UCLA football and kickoff, we'll have Devon Williams' commitment officially on August 28th, is when he said he is going to commit and announce it on Twitter. Nothing's finalized until you sign the paper, but that's how we all like to do it nowadays. Watch the kids go out and either announce it on the video, put some posts about where they're going or transferring to,
It's gonna be like
or just
it's
having.
gonna be like a gender reveal. He's gonna like hit like a golf ball, and UCLA blue's gonna pop out of it or something. He's gonna shoot a basketball, and it's gonna fall through the net, and blue and gold will pop out of it. I don't know. You know, it's always something different.
So while you weren't as positive in reacting towards the likes of Brandon Williams, maybe not coming, Devon Williams is in their own backyard. They have ties with someone, Jalen Clark having a little impact recruiting Devon Williams, and he's got similar ranks to Brandon Williams, almost a little bit better. He doesn't have that #1 prospect ranking in the state like Brandon Williams does from New York, but Devon having a nice little kind of similar attribute to Brandon, so it makes us think that they'll get one and not the other.
Yeah, I think that's like, it seems like they're confident in exactly that. One, but not both. You're right. I laid out a lot of reasons why Brandon Williams could not. But for all those reasons, I feel like UCLA has the indoor track on Devon Williams. You mentioned his Compton Magic AAU team. He plays with Jalen Clark, who's a good Bruin, been a Bruin for a while, and has been like super endorsing Devon, trying to get in his ear a little bit to come over. And um, he says he's going to make his announcement the UCLA trip, which sounds pretty good. I don't know. This, like, reading it, this kid seems like it would be leaning UCLA. It could be just cautiously optimistic, wishful thinking. But maybe, LeVar Ball, bro, speak it into existence, man. He spoke the Ball brothers coming to UCLA. We're going to speak it into existence.
Well, technically only one officially came to UCLA. We
I
don't talk about
mean,
we don't talk about Leangelo that much, and
yeah,
then
the
LeVar,
plane ride and all
and
that.
then
But
the
I mean,
and then LaMelo. Well, that would have been a great get if they could have brought him. But the Balls had their highs, their lows, and
the
downs. The
balls were bouncing,
Williams,
man. The balls bounced around UCLA for sure.
yeah, but we have now Devon Williams, who has visited UCLA. Both the Williams visited recently, and now they're both close to making their decisions. They
I
both
mean,
posted
I
on.
think if they both came, I think there's room for both. I think there could be possibly a lot of turnover in the next year, and then 2 years for the Bruins. There is still a lot of veteran, and then some of the young guys like Amari Bailey. I don't know if you see Amari Bailey here for 4 years, right? He seems kind of like an NBA prospect that could be out rather than later. So they could get both, and there could be minutes and room for both. But I agree with you. Just like on paper, it seems as if they're banking on like, okay, we should be able to land one of these guys. I mean, personally, I think Devon Williams is a little more goes into his body more. Brandon Williams is more ready now, like physically, I would say. Talent wise, Devon has a little more talent than Brandon Williams, but physically, Devon needs to fill in a little more. He's a little thin. But I think the game is transitioning, stretching players out anyways at all levels. It's all about getting longer, thinner lengths who are skilled in every facet, who can dribble, pass, shoot. You're trying to get Jokic, but stretch them out a little thinner. So I don't know if that'll really hurt Devon Williams being so thin and wiry. I mean, he's got a great skill set. He plays on that Compton Magic team, which is one of the best. And if you're playing alongside Jalen Clark, he is such a good ball player. He's so good for the Bruins. Pass, shoot really well. If he's your guard and you're his big and he'll vouch for you, then I'll take his recommendation any day.
And Jalen Clark, actually, he's going to have a special kind of kids basketball camp coming up in Riverside this Saturday, actually. And I saw it on Twitter. I think Ben Bolch tweeted it out. Jalen Clark will be hosting a special all days kids thing at Riverside. Go look it up on the socials. 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. out in Riverside. So giving back to the community. We've talked about in recent episodes the Bruins, like Chase Griffin, giving up back to the community. He was the NIL Athlete of the Year, Male Athlete of the Year recently, as we now transition into football after we hear some words from our friends. But now we transition into football, talking about R.J. Jones. But still, folks, thanks for making Locked On UCLA your first listen every day. The ultimate college football preview is here, a 7-episode preview with college experts, local team experts, and Odyssey college football insiders. It's everything you need to be ready for the college football season in one spot. Search for the ultimate college football preview on your Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm on it. We're talking UCLA football with the Arizona schools. And then in that segment, we talk about how UCLA has important games, what they need to do to be ready to win this year, and what could go wrong for UCLA. That's on the Locked On Pac-12 channel. Go check it out. A complete insider for college football preview this year, as we're ready to give you your team daily, every day with that preview. And now heading into football season, maybe saving the best for last, 4-star quarterback from St. John Bosco, R.J. Jones, decommitting from Cal. He is going to visit the UCLA football game. He's going to go watch the game. He'll be at the game when they play Bowling Green September 3rd. And I talked about him earlier in depth, just kind of solo a few weeks recently, on how R.J. Jones decommitted from Cal, gave an interview, and then was talking about how that footprint from UCLA going to the Big Ten and Cal going nowhere was extremely impactful in his decision. And now he says, oh, yeah, by the way, UCLA was already knocking on my door. What's the likelihood R.J. Jones, the 4-star cornerback, and Lord knows UCLA needs consistent help in the secondary after the last few years. You can bring Jones in, and then you can start getting those 3 to 4 year cornerbacks. Jones attending that UCLA Bowling Green game.
I think it's good news for the Bruins. Nailed it. They could definitely use a 6'1" defensive back, a high-level recruit like that. And anybody who thought that UCLA will be regretting the move already, this is not a good look for you, because boom, big recruit immediately leaving Cal and is like, well, they're going to play against some insanely good competition on some big level TV football games. Like, why would I not go look there? UCLA needs some big recruits bad. Their 2023 class is, at the moment, would be dead last against its new counterparts in the Big West. So that's
Big
super, or
Ten.
Big West, Big Ten.
I mean,
Sorry,
against
thinking about my work. Thinking
the
about
big,
my work.
the Big Ten West. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
we'll see how those divisions work out.
it doesn't roll off the tongue great. We may need a different conference name, but I like where you're headed. Anyways, but against the Big Ten in the Midwest, they would be dead last right now as far as a recruiting class for that year. So they need some big time recruits. They need to start flipping the players that want to leave these small schools that are getting left behind. This would be a great start. He seems like a really good kid. Like you said, 6'1" defensive back. Who couldn't use one of those? Um, I really hope it turns out in UCLA's favor. I hope they play well against Bowling Green. I hope he leaves, very hyped up. They show him a great time, and he seriously considers it.
Yeah, for say the R.J. Jones of the world, he's a local guy. You need the secondary help, and when you start playing these bigger schools, like you get guys from Bosco, who's amongst the top one or two in the nation. They're going to go play in Allen, Texas, in a national showdown between SoCal high school football and Texas high school football. And we know how that's so heavily debated. You can start getting these bigger recruits who are used to playing in the bigger games against the bigger guys. You're going to need to pluck the Bosco kids. You're going to need to pluck the modern day kids, those almost high school academies they've turned into now, those factories that those schools have turned into. And it's important that you get the bigger recruits. You can't always live, even though Chip Kelly has been on record saying he likes the transfers. It's nice that he got into ZZ Hearn. That's a nice find from Wyoming. But at
Mm-hmm.
some point, you have to mix and match. You have to get a top recruit or a four-star recruit or these guys who are decommitting. It's a good look for UCLA when they're pointing the finger towards that school's not making moves. UCLA, they're making moves. Now the question is, you have to complete the action by grabbing the recruit and snatching him into your hold and, just saying, all right, come here to UCLA. We play at the Rose Bowl, an iconic venue, and we'll play elite competition. We need you now. And it's one thing to watch him decommit. It's another thing to have him commit and come to UCLA and leave there with a degree, or at least if he stays there 3 years and goes to the NFL, who knows with the likes of R.J. Jones. But that's just the first of what should be many recruits. UCLA should use these next couple of years, especially before the Big Ten expands to maybe the whole nation.
I think it's really important. You make a lot of really good points there. I think it's really important to nail some of these guys because UCLA is making this move right. They're about to play in all kinds of historic, hostile football wise. Happy Valley, um, Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State. All those schools are known for, even like the Northwesterns and the Purdue's have insanely good student sections and
Nebraska's.
big time. Man, Wisconsin, they start playing jump around going into the fourth quarter. You're going to lose your marbles. It's an insane thing, and all that is super cool. And you don't even have to win all of those games. You got to win a couple of them, I think. Otherwise, it's going to be a bad look. But when making this move, you have to go over and at least compete. If you get these guys, these 4 and 5 star recruits, and you take them into the Horseshoe or you take them into Wisconsin, and sure, you lose a heartbreaking 28-20 game or something like that. And it's just like, they're going to leave there saying, this is one of the best experiences. They're going to go home, just as I said with Brandon Williams. They're going to tell all their friends, like, you have not, heart has not beat until you were on the field at Penn State during the whiteout game, and that place was just going crazy for 3.5 hours straight. Nobody ever sat down. Those are insane moments that you could really help build your recruiting pitch if you just compete in those games. So it is important to get them early. You want to do it early. If you go into this new conference and in the first 3 years you're getting blown out every day, it's going to be hard to convince these kids, like, hey, come play in Happy Valley. We're going to lose. It'll be a cool experience. That's not a great pitch. That's not a great sell. So last year, I think UCLA is going to be competitive. It could really help in those recruiting pitches right there.
That's what they need to hone in on. Focus on the recruiting, get the guys, bring them in, and lock them in. Like Locked On UCLA. You've been locked on for this entire show. Thanks for tuning in. We'll come back with more. I know UCLA is just about ready to announce a new NIL collective for UCLA as a whole. We'll have the news for that when that breaks. But today, hit the trails Tuesday. We'll look around UCLA recruiting for football and men's basketball. A couple of 4-star recruits closing in the class of 2023, few class of 2023 guys, all closing on either reopening their commitments or a couple of basketball recruits about ready to choose which school they'll go to college and don either the UCLA jersey or an SC or St. John's jersey if Brandon Williams stays in New York, or if Devon Williams spurns the Bruins and goes to the crosstown rival in the Galen Center, or if R.J. Jones wants to come to UCLA football. All those things would be great too. But what's also great, one, go check out Locked On Pac-12 with Spencer McLaughlin. He's got a great podcast to give you more up-to-date news on the end of the Pac-12, if you will, with more schools looking to get plucked to the Big Ten. And also, remember, Bruin fans, for Jake Candy and Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer, get those hands up in the air.
Oh,
Time
always
for a Bruin
forget.
A-clap. Let's go.
Have me sleeping.
You're sleeping. Don't be sleeping. This is the energy. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA. Fight.
Ooh.
Your lag just puts me off rhythm.
You know,
There might
but you are
be
lagging.
someone
Here's the
watching this
thing.
at home who
You're
might be
lagging
like,
to me though.
you're lagging to me. It's
Right.
all good.
So it's not just me. We're both lagging.
It's funny because someone might be counting and saying, wait, did you skip a number? Yes, because Jake's over there doing who knows what with his dog jumping on him in the background, maybe. It's all
You know,
good. It's all good.
it.
It's all love. Dirk is the unofficial mascot for Locked On UCLA. Yeah, look at the pup. We'll show the pup. There's pup in the back. Good old Dirk. That's going to do it for us here today on Locked On UCLA. For Jake Candy, D1 play-by-play broadcaster, I'm Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Locked On UCLA. Go Bruins.